Can you guys hear us?
But we really want to share how personal development has changed our lives.
We get to go through this together.
Hi everyone, I'm Veronica Estrada, the co-host and co-creator of Hoy and Tomorrow, the first web-based personal development show focused on healing into our epic greatness. Today I want to talk about the response that we're seeing to George Floyd's murder that happened on May 25th. And you can look up the most recent updates on that. But right now, what I want to focus on is what Hoy and Tomorrow is all about. And our show has the focus of all of us taking responsibility and ownership of our lives and healing our trauma that happened either in our childhood or adulthood, whenever we suffered, because suffering is a part of the human experience, and taking charge of our lives and finding those wounds and healing them so that we're not showing up in the world with these uncontrolled emotions or these preconceived notions that the world is not a safe place. So my co-host and co-creator, Maribel Serrano, and I have both been through very challenging upbringings and life, and we've learned a lot through personal development. And so that's where this show came from. And while I would like to focus more on and give you more details on George Floyd's untimely death or murder, I will instead focus on solutions and on tactical things that we can all do no matter where we are to help us show up in a way that we are proud of, in a way where we are better human beings and quality human beings and world citizens. I want to start by reminding you of a few key tenets that I live by that I've gleaned from Stoic philosophy and from the Navy SEAL mindset training. And the first one is that no plan survives contact with the enemy. And the second is that the human spirit thrives when it is challenged. And with those two things, I want to remind us that no matter what our plan is, no matter what our objective is, we are going to encounter some sort of obstacle. We're going to encounter a challenge or something that keeps the plan from going exactly as we planned. And usually when there is an obstacle that leads to suffering, it leads to some sort of challenge. And I want to remind you again that the human soul thrives when it is challenged, and remind you that you can overcome this and come out of this and any challenging situation as a better human being and not crumble under pressure, because pressure and challenging times are going to come. That is without a doubt. Before we saw these protests nationwide and nationwide civil disobedience demonstrations, we were reeling with the impact of COVID-19, and over 100,000 Americans have died due to this unprecedented illness, and we're all living different experiences of this. And that was the challenge we were facing before the George Floyd murder happened on the 25th of May. It's now the 31st of May, and the pandemic has not gone away, but now it seems that there's even more challenge, more struggle, and more pain and injustice in the world as we look out. As we turn on the news, it's just like an avalanche of bad news. And so Hoy and Tomorrow was created with the objective to help us stay ready so we don't have to get ready. And today I want to share some tips that I gleaned from another leader in the space, in the personal development space, Jay Shetty. And I will also link the podcast that I got these from so you can hear more in depth. But I want to share these tips because I know that a lot of us are feeling like we don't know what to do, how we can make a difference, and we're feeling quite lost. We're feeling angry, we're feeling outraged, either at there's a lot of things to be outraged about, honestly, and whether it's the unfair treatment of George Floyd, the unfair treatment of the officers that were involved in his murder, or the unfair looting and violence that's happened in these civil disobedience demonstrations. There's so much to be outraged about, and you have every right to feel those feelings. And the objective for me today is to help you sort out those feelings so that you don't act out of an uncontrollable emotional state, because that's your fight or flight system responding. And we as human beings have evolved to be better than that, to control our minds and our emotions. But if you don't know how to do that, if you haven't been practicing that, then it's going to certainly be challenging to do so now. And I do sense that a lot of the people in the civil disobedience demonstrations who are looting, who are stealing, who are hurting other people, who are actively trying to hurt police officers, they are in that fight or flight state. And the first thing I would say for us to do is to stop judging. Let us not waste any energy on judging those people, because we really don't know their stories, we don't know what they're going through, and really focus on ourselves. We want to start with ourselves first. Before we can go out and be of service to the world, we have to have our head on straight. We have to know who we are, what our values are, what's important, what's not important, and what impact we want to make in the world. Now, for the 7 tips that will help you thrive under challenging situations, I want to start off by saying that these are practices that you'll have the opportunity to do every single day. These are not one and done types of solutions. And like I've said before, nothing worth having comes easy. And these tips will help you have clarity and peace of mind and an action plan for how you want to show up in your life. So these are not just like go meditate and done. These are things that we all must do and start practicing now, because if not now, then when? This is the perfect time to start. I mean, the perfect time was yesterday, but here we are. So I will start with the 7 tips that I gleaned from Jay Shetty. And the first one, it hits home because it reminds me of George Floyd's last words when he said, "I can't breathe." And the first tip that Jay Shetty shared was focusing on our breath. He talks about diaphragmatic breathing, and what that entails is putting our left hand on our belly and taking a deep breath in through our nose and out through the nose. And when you're breathing in, really feeling your belly expand, and when you breathe out, feeling it contract. And practicing this breath as soon as you wake up, or right before you go to bed, or honestly, anytime that you're feeling a lot of emotions, whether good or bad, you want to automatically have it in your body that you're gonna take some deep breaths. And another breathwork tactic that I've shared before that I learned from retired Navy SEAL Commander Mark Devine is box breathing. And the strategy for box breathing is breathing in for a count of 4, holding your breath for a count of 4, exhaling for a count of 4, and holding it at the bottom of the exhale for another count of 4. and continuing that process of the box where you breathe in, hold your breath, exhale, and hold your breath again for 4 seconds or 5 seconds. You know, you can start building that muscle and get better and better at this breathing technique. And this breathing technique is super important because it helps calm down our nervous system. It takes us out of that fight or flight state that I was talking about, that fight or flight state that we're seeing out in these riots, in these protests. We're seeing people just act out and not think before they're doing things. And so we are better than that. You're better than that. And with these breathing practices, you're going to be able to calm your nervous system down and let your mind and your body catch up and make some reasonable choices in your life. And the next tactic, or the next tip that Jay shared was to journal. And you don't want to just journal like without any purpose. There are 3 specific questions that you want to answer. And the first one is, how do I feel? The second question is, why do I feel this way? And the third question is, how do I want to feel? And you can either write these out or just a voice memo to yourself. And the fourth question is actually, what do I need to do to feel the way that I want to feel? And whether you are looking for an action that you can take to support George Floyd or to make social injustice change in the world, or whether it's being a better parent, a better partner, a better employer, whatever it is that you're looking to do, really inquire within and see first, how are you feeling and why am I feeling this way? How do I want to feel? And what do I need to do to feel that way? So the next tip, the third tip, is stop looking for advice in the wrong places. So be mindful of who you're asking for advice and insights when you want help on a decision or moving forward in uncharted territory. If you're asking someone who's never been through what you're talking about, they're not really going to be able to give you great advice. And a lot of people have opinions about stuff that they've never been through and never experienced, and those are not the people that you want to be getting information from or guidance from or advice from. There are plenty of great people out there that have gone through whatever you're going through, whatever, that have achieved whatever goal you're looking to achieve, or that have overcome obstacles. And you want to get into the habit of seeking out a reliable source, someone who's an expert or who has actually done this before. And this is another reason why life coaches or any type of coach is important, because they can help you get clarity on where you're at now, where you want to go, and then also give you the support and tools you need to actually get there. And as a life coach, you know, this is something that I love doing. So if you know someone who is any type of coach, reach out to them. And if you're watching this show, you know me, so please reach out to me and let's talk. Let's help you get some clarity. And it's something that coaches love to do. We do this because it's a calling for us to help others, and you won't be bugging us. You won't be getting in the way or wasting our time. I invite you to reach out to any coach in your life, or to me or Maribel Serrano, the other co-creator and co-host of the show, for guidance and to help you get clear on yourself. The next amazing tip that Jay shared was learn how to study the lives of people to strengthen your mind. It's not enough to just read inspirational books or watch inspirational speeches, because sometimes we don't know how to connect the dots and have that advice apply to ourselves. Sometimes it seems like the people that we admire have done such great things or amazing things, and we don't know how that applies to us because our circumstances are different, right? The way that we do this, and Jay's strategy, is to first analyze the person's scenarios, figure out what that person went through, and person is the first P of the 3 Ps. And the second thing we want to do is ask ourselves, what principle can I learn? And principle is the second P, and the third P is practical. What is the practical step? And keeping that front of mind as you're studying and learning from people is absolutely important to help you do things in your own way and also leverage the lessons that you're learning from these people. The next tip that he shared that I absolutely agree with, well, obviously I agree with all of these because I do them all and because I've lived them, and I've gone from a place where I wasn't actually doing any of these and now I do all of them, and my life has completely changed over the course of the last few years for the better. Tip number 5 is movement and exercise. There is no shortcut for this one, guys. There's nobody that you can hire to work out for you, to move your body for you. So you really got to push yourself if this is something that you're struggling with. I have said this before, close the door, have a dance party, like set a playlist of your favorite songs and just like dance it out like no one's watching, and move your body, and you'll see how much better you feel. Sometimes we have these like trapped emotions in our body, and a good workout, a good sweat session, a good dance session will get those out and help you create more emotional bandwidth so that you can keep showing up to your life in a way that isn't scattered, and that, you know, you're making a positive impact in other people's lives and your own life. The next tip he shared is to add laughter to your life. Or if you know how to play an instrument, play an instrument. But I love the tip of adding laughter because I've shared it before, and in this day and age where we have so many different sources of entertainment, make sure that you're watching stuff that makes you laugh, makes you forget about what's going on, and just take a breather, because your nervous system needs that, and our nervous system needs laughter. Our immune system needs laughter to function. It's so helpful to just take a break. So dance party it out, watch something that makes you laugh, have laughs with your friends. Of course, that doesn't change the dire situation in the world, but again, this is about taking care of ourselves first and owning our mind and our body and how we're showing up. And so definitely infuse laughter into your day and release stress that way. The 7th tip he shared is to add your business and personal life to your calendar and space it out. Bill Gates has said that we overestimate what we can do in a year and we underestimate what we can do in 10 years. So instead of cramming a bunch of stuff into your week, see if you can space that out and give yourself more room to get things done. Especially in this uncertain time, we don't want to overschedule ourselves, because then we have this pressure that we're creating ourselves, and stuff is happening on the news, there's circumstances we can't control, and we need to give ourselves room to feel those feelings and process them and get them out of our bodies, you know? So be mindful of your white space in your calendar, and that is something that you purposely want to infuse into your planning so that you give your body and your mind time to unwind and catch up and to solve some of those problems that you've been dealing with on a day-to-day basis. The more we infuse our lives with white space, the better able we're going to be to solve our own problems. And those are the 7 tips that I learned from Jay Shetty that I also use in my life. And a quick summary is: breathe. Remember box breathing and diaphragmatic breathing. Journal. You either want to write or voice memo. And you have those 4 questions you want to ask yourself. The 3rd thing is to stop looking for advice in the wrong places and start looking for advice from experts and people who have been through what you're trying to go through. The next tip is learn how to study the lives of people to strengthen your mind. And then we have movement and exercise and adding laughter to your life. And The last thing is to add your business and personal life to your calendar and remember to space it out. So I am certain that these tips will help you get clear on what your next steps are and dealing with this crisis and any other crisis, or just dealing with life as we move forward in 2020. It's been a heck of a year so far, and we're only at May. So start these practices as soon as possible. Start them right now. Start them before this episode ends. Pause it and get going and start healing into your epic greatness. I have faith that you can rewire your brain and install new habits that support you and the highest version of yourself in the future, and show up for the world. We need that special gift that only you have, and we can't do it for you. You got to take responsibility for yourself, and it's absolutely possible. Remember, Maribel Serrano and I are available to help you, support you, encourage you, or share any additional tips with you and answer your questions. Send us a DM at Hoy and Tomorrow, or my personal Instagram at the Vero Estrada. Maribel's is at It Is Maribel. And we really look forward to hearing from you. Please do not take this invitation lightly. We love you guys, and we look forward to seeing you here on the next episode of Hoy and Tomorrow.